Hello and welcome to this video. Previously, we have been using this register form to check or to use the keywords with. Now we are going to build upon that by using this register employees form instead. Assuming your company has this kind of web app that is used to register new employees anytime they come. So typically the QA team would be made to check this whether manually or using test automation to check if everything works as it should. So let me try and register an employee and see how it goes. Yeah, so when you type in the employee details, the details populate in this table, and we can also delete the employee, assuming the employee has resigned or something like that. You can just delete the employee as well. So let us now go to PyCharm and start interacting with the elements on the page. So let's go to PyCharm, and this is where we left off. We still have the initial tool.robot file. Let me delete that since we are not going to be using it anymore. And let's create a new file, register employees.robot. Now let's start with the structure. So first the settings. Then in the settings we have the library we want to use, which is the Selenium library. After that, the variables. We are leaving that blank at the moment. And then test cases. And then the keywords. So typically we need to give our test cases descriptive names. So let me go with register employee 1. And then we give it a tag. So let's say register 1. And besides the tags, we have another one, documentation. This is basically a description of what that test case is supposed to do. So we can say this test case tries to register an employee. Yeah, so anyone that sees it knows, okay, this is basically the summary of what the test case is supposed to do. So now that we have the tag, let's see if it is working. So we have the robot command. Let's include the register 1 tag, and now the directory, not the logs directory, and then the actual path to the file we want to run. So let's see. So let's right click and check. Yes, so the test case ran successfully, and this is the documentation. So anyone that sees it knows what that test case is supposed to be doing. Let me close this page. So now let's copy this URL because that's what we are going to use. Let's go back. Let's delete this one. And what do we want to do? Let's open the browser first and supply the URL we just copied from the address bar. And then the browser itself, the browser to use. And typically when we open the browser by ourselves, when it is maybe this way, we click this button to increase the window size. So we have a handy keyword for that as well, maximize browser window. So typically it's advised to use this one after the browser is open. So it opens in Chrome and then the window is expanded. So now it is time for us to interact with the elements on that page. So we can check if the title of the page is actually register employees. So if and when there is any change, the test case is going to fail. So this one is an H1 with the text of register employees. Besides the ID or the placeholder attributes we can use in our strategy, there is another one. There's another function. So this is it. So we are targeting an H1 with the text. So that there's a text function. Anytime you see anything with this brackets, it means it's a method or a function. So we are targeting an H1 with the text, which is equal to register employees. So there's one element matching, and typically there is only one H1, or at least there's supposed to be one H1 tag on a page. So if there are multiple, then you need to find other strategies as well to use. So we copied that XPath. So let's use the wait until element is visible keyword. Then it's an XPath, and we can use this strategy. And then wait for about 10 seconds. And let's duplicate this by hitting Control D. So let's go to the next. The next one is you can check these ones as well, but we are sticking, these are labels. So let's right click and see what they say. So you can target this label with the ID. This one doesn't have ID, so you can still use the text. So let's see. So we have label and we have the text of first name. Let's see. Yes, I made a mistake because there is a colon, and so this should introduce us to the next strategy. So you see, I made a mistake by not bringing the colon, so now it sees it. But if I didn't use this, there is another function called contains. So contains text. So let me still use the first name without the colon. So we are still getting one element matching, because this contains is going to check any label that contains the text first name. So as you can see, this label down here contains the text first name, even without us bringing the colon. So it doesn't matter. So the contains just checks part of a text, if part of the text contains this. And beside the contains as well, we have the starts with. So it is targeting a label that starts with the text first name. So let's see if that one also matches. Yeah, it also matches. One element matching. But the starts with I don't really use. And there's another one we have the ends with, but I think it depends on the Chrome version you are using. So if it's red like this, then it's not supported yet. So but the contains should give you what you need, whether you need the starts with or the ends with. So this is another strategy we can use, but let's stick to the text strategy for now. So let's go to PyCharm. We are targeting an input. Let's check what it was. So an input with the ID of first name. So you can go there, an input with an ID, which is an attribute. So this is how you write the attribute. ID first name. And we have the next one, ID of last name. And then we have the date of birth as well, and that is DOB, ID with DOB. And there's another strategy we can use for that, which is ID and then the ID. So this is another strategy we can use, the ID. From the Selenium library, we have the web locators, and this is the strategy I just used, ID. So it's targeting any element on the page with the ID of example. And since IDs are supposed to be unique for each element, it's going to select one element that has that ID. So to go to the Selenium library definition, you can just hold the control key and click on it. It takes you to all the keywords that are within Selenium, the Selenium library. So we have, so let me just stick with this one. And then, so this is more or less the same as these two. So we have the social security next. So what? Social security. Let's go there. You can use the same thing, but I'll just show you. I typically use this one. So input the ID and the last one will be the salary expectation. So from here, let us use the contains as well. So sometimes you might not get the ID or any other attribute, so you might have to use the placeholder text, and we can use this, but in case the software developers remove any of the dots, it's going to fail. So we can just use a part of the placeholder. So we are targeting an input field that contains the text. Let's say your salary. No, we are targeting the placeholder, not the text. So we are targeting the placeholder attribute. So there we have it. So if it was the ID, we can just use the ID at ID your salary, but it doesn't have any text in it, your salary, so it's going to fail. So this is what we want. So we are targeting an input that has your salary in it. It doesn't matter if it has other stuff after it. So which one was that? That was the yes. So now we have this, and we need to bring the XPath as well. And now last one will be the button. So right click, inspect, and let's move to the, so we can use the ID or the text. So we are targeting a button with the text, with the text of add. So add one element matching. We can use the ID as well, but let me just use this PyCharm. So Control D once again, and don't forget the expert. If you forget the expert, it's going to be there's going to be an error. So you know how to, these things happen. So don't be afraid or don't be depressed when an error happens. The more errors you get, the more you learn. So now that we have made sure the elements are on the page, let's see what we get. We forgot to close the browser. Yes, so it has passed, but we forgot to close the browser. So let me quickly close the browser. So after opening the browser, at some point we need to close the browser as well. So let's check the log. I think we already have it open. Yeah, so all the elements are visible. So let's go back and now interact with the elements, input the details. So let's say supply employee details, and all these are input fields. So we have input text, we are inputting the text, and we want to input the person's first name to the first name input field. So typically I like to align my stuff. So as you can see, it's perfectly aligned. You do that by hitting the tab key a few times. So we have the first name, let's say John, and then another, let's duplicate a few times, and last name, let me just remove Doe, and then we have the date of birth. So let me use this strategy. Date of birth, DOB, and I have and then we have the next one as well, which is the social security. Social security. We have another. Yes, and then we have the salary as well. So we can still use this one. Let's say that person earns a whopping 1 million euros. And after that, we need to click the button. So we have a keyword button, but I recommend you use click element instead, because a button is an element anyway, and sometimes it might not be a button, it might be a div you want to click or a span you want to click. So this click element can click any element on the page, but if it's click button, then it has to be a button. So we have the so after the stuff have been typed, we click the button, and let's see if we have, it's deleted. So let's run the file and see what we get. 1 past 0 failed. So let's see in Chrome. Now we already have it open. So so it's typed. It was able to type the text, for instance, John into this. So it says typing text John into text field. The text will expert this. So everything worked. So let's check from the running. So John has been added. So suppose we want to add another employee. We have to copy this, come here, let's say even 2 more. So this is employee 3, employee 2. Let's change, let's say they both have the same name and different, they have the same last name, John Doe, Jane Doe, maybe they were twins. And this one, let's say Alex Doe. And let me just change this. And then to make sure the John is not run again, let's change its tag and see what happens. So the first one has run. The last one has run as well. So let's go here and check. So the rest are here. So suppose we want to add another employee, we have to copy this and let me leave the name as employee 3 still, and let's change this to, let's say, Lucy Mark or something like that. Let's change the salary. Let's run it again. So just adding the Jendo again and the Alex again. And the Lucy. That's one last time. So now let's check the log file again. As you can see, it says multiple test cases with name register employee 3 executed in test suite register employee. So which means in this file we have register employee 3 multiple times. So that's what happens when you have test cases with the same name. It just gives you a warning, even though they pass from here. It just gives you a warning. So remember to supply unique test case names to your test cases. So let's go to the so as you can see, this is the table that has been populated of all the employees we have registered. But even from here, you notice we cannot see the Lucy. Let's see if we can add a couple of keywords. There is a keyword. Now we don't know what the last thing the robot saw. There is a keyword. Let me add a Lucy again. So let's say, let me remove the rest so it doesn't add them again. So there's a keyword called capture page screenshot. So it captures the last thing the robot saw before the close browser. But if it fails at, let's say, this point, it's going to automatically capture the screenshot over there. Anytime a test case or an input, a keyword fails, the robot automatically takes a screenshot of where it failed. So this one captures the screen page when all the keywords pass before the close browser. So let's see what the robot sees at the end of. So let me change at the end of the run. So let me change this to, let's say, Elisa look or something like that. Let's run again. Yes, so we now have, as you can see, even though there are a number of employees that have been registered, let me close one of these. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. We can only see, or the robot can only see 3 because it's not able to scroll down. When I go to this page, this is how it looks when it refreshes. We see only John, Jane, and Alex. So I manually scroll down to that. So there is a way to check or to scroll to an element on the page, and that is the scroll element into view keyword. But before we can do that, the scroll keyword needs something to scroll to, a locator to scroll to. So typically after adding the employee, you need to check if the employee has actually appeared on the page or not. So, or in the table. So let's right click, inspect. This is a TD, table data. So after adding, we can check if there is an element on the page with that XPath. So let's say we can target the TD, in this case, the text of John. It says 1 element found. Let's say Lucy, 1 element found, and Elisa as well. So 1 element found as well. So typically, anytime you delete something or add something, you need to check if it's still on the page or not. So if you add an employee, you need to check if it's on the page. And if you delete an employee, you need to check if it is not on the page. Then which means if it's not on the page, the deletion was successful. Or after adding, if it's on the page, the addition was successful. So we need to add this check as well. So we copy that XPath, we go to the register, and now this is the problem. Now we need to check all of these. We need to add that check to all of these, meaning we need to start from the John. So wait until element is visible, or wait until the page contains will also work. So now this is Elisa, which would have been a mistake. So John. Now we have to bring, and we have to do this change in all the employees we've added. I think 5 or so. Now we have to bring the capture page screenshot as well, which is really tedious and there can be mistakes. Assuming the programmers change the path to the register form to, let's say, employee. So they add another employee. So to get the employees, you need to navigate to the employees URL. Then this is going to fail because the test cases do not have the employee/employees in them. See, so which means we have to manually do this across all the employees. Assuming we were to test with 20 or 30 employees, then at some point we are going to make errors because we might forget to change this. We might forget to change the name. A whole lot of things can go wrong. So that is where the variables and the keywords come in. So in the next video, we are going to spend time refactoring this code. So we write the code once and use it anytime we need to register an employee, or let's say delete an employee. So stay tuned and thank you for watching.